even has a refrain written by Argentinian singer-songwriter Fito Páez and made part of the global commons through the great voice of Mercedes Sosa, now with the Ancestors and also from Argentina. ¿Quién dijo que todo está perdido? Yo vengo a ofrecer mi corazón. Who says everything is lost? I come to offer you my heart. It's Mother's Day. Yesterday, all the shopping carts at Trader Joe's were full of flowers. But this holiday didn't begin as a moment for giving female parents bouquets of blossoms and colorful greeting cards in a vague and often sentimental acknowledgement that someone should thank us. It began with the courage it takes not only to tend the young, but to fight for them. Courage, heartness, love in action, the place from which we move to make change. Imagine Ann Reeves Jarvis, living in West Virginia in the years before the Civil War. She marries at 18 and bears 12 children over the next 17 years, and all but 4 of them die from infectious diseases, measles, diphtheria, typhoid fever. Imagine she is 26, pregnant for the 6th time, full of grief and determination as she begins to organize Mother's Day work clubs, working to improve living conditions for women and their families. They join a female-led movement for public health, fighting infant mortality and epidemic illness, educating and empowering Appalachian mothers. Courage, courage, the power of the heart in action. The clubs raise money to hire women who pick up the work of mothers with tuberculosis, weak hearts, anemia. They learn to inspect milk themselves long before the state does it. They go house to house teaching sanitation and home health care. When war breaks over these mountains, she urges the clubs to declare neutrality. They will give aid to soldiers on both sides. Alone, she prays for the first Union soldier killed by Confederates near her home. Under her leadership, the clubs feed and clothe men from both armies quartered in their region. When typhoid fever and measles sweep the camps, Ann and her followers nurse everyone, blue or gray. When the war is over, public officials call on her to help their communities heal. So she and her club members organize a Mother's Friendship Day in spite of violent threats and offer veterans a message of unity and reconciliation. ¿Quién dijo que todo está perdido? Yo vengo a ofrecer mi corazón. 2 years later, Julia Ward Howe, a middle-class Unitarian suffragist and writer, issues this appeal to womanhood. Arise, all women who have hearts, whether our baptism be that of water or of tears. Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We women of one country will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. In the name of womanhood and of humanity, I earnestly ask that a General Congress of Women without limit of nationality may be appointed and held at some place deemed most convenient and at the earliest period consistent with its objects, to promote the alliance of the different nationalities, the amicable settlement of international questions, the great and general interest of peace. Tanta sangre que se llevó el río, yo vengo a ofrecer mi corazón. So much blood that the river washed away, I come to offer you my heart. All around us, the frightened and enraged demand conflict, demand devastating defeats and final victories. Can we sing a song so beautiful that vengeance will turn to weeping? Last year, I posted on Facebook, "From the river to the sea, every human safe and free," and was immediately and simultaneously accused of wanting to exterminate all Palestinians and all Jews. To express love for my dispossessed and dispossessing cousins does not erase my clarity about who has the power, who is bombing and starving civilians, executing aid workers and journalists, who is openly announcing annihilation as a goal. Love demands justice, but justice also demands love. Water defenders at Standing Rock spoke to the armed police facing them with weapons in hand and said, "We forgive you. We bless you. We are doing this for your children too." And officers began resigning. Water protectors are arrested because their love for the water and the lives that depend on it conflicts with the insatiability of fossil fuel companies. The protectors of the world's water have not gone quiet. They sing behind bars. The lawyers say we are all in cahoots. It's true. We are a conspiracy of life. We are a conspiracy of life. And so I believe what I was taught by indigenous grandmothers and my Jewish father. There are no human enemies, only our relatives, violently orphaned from the biosphere of all living things. I shake and shudder at the plunder and punishment unleashed upon us, the rage of the billionaires because our lives get in the way of their purpose to become trillionaires. But there are no human enemies, and so I make a spell to medicine them. I chant my rooting solution to call the uprooted home. In the name of all that lives and is in deadly peril, I will gather consenting willow branches from the banks of the river which is all rivers. I will fill this bucket with cold water from all streams. Tenderly I will submerge them, twig, leaf, and bark, infusing every drop with the desire to connect. You were born with it. Can you remember? I will dip my hands into the bucket as the moon swells and pull out twigs still dripping. I will twine the whiffy willow wands. I will braid and bind them into a great hoop and stand within their ring. As a new grove springs up from the circle, I will flood every room where you breathe with the medicine of rooting. Willow water will fall upon you like rain sprayed from my mouth. It will calm the fever of your greedy grabbing. All the places where you were sliced away from the web of living, all those stumps of clear-cut nerve endings, once entwined with mycelium, once dusted with glowing bacteria, once decked in belonging, and so long numb, will begin to tingle and itch. First, you will erupt into tiny nubs pale as potato eyes, but they will green and reach for the ground, for the water, for the mycorrhizomes and earthworms, for the leaf litter and its beetles, for the immeasurable microbes and stars. And as the moon rolls past full and down the other side, toward the place of starting over, you will reach for us. You will no longer be able to push the button, for you will feel the shrapnel in your own flesh. You will no longer be able to plunder the world, soaked, drenched in long-forgotten truth that you are the world. The lies of separation will disintegrate as kinship washes over and through you, a tsunami of return. You will fall on your knees as every cell in you remembers every cell in every single life you have threatened, extinguished, crushed underfoot, and you will weep in relief that it is over. Willow water flow from my hands, ride on the wind of my breath, and reroot these broken branches of the tree of life. And let us say amen. Amen. Justice is love. Yo vengo a ofrecer mi corazón. Just to be clear, fierce and loving parenthood is not limited to female-bodied, woman-identified people. But the vast majority of parenting across the globe and throughout human history has been done by female-bodied women under conditions that made child-rearing our exclusive and difficult domain. That it is difficult does not detract from the love, but it has been love without justice, except when we fought for more. And we have fought for more. Mothers of disabled children brought us special education. Mothers of children with asthma took on air pollution and forced regulation. Felicitas Gomez Martinez, a Puerto Rican mother, fought beside her husband and community to desegregate Southern California schools in 1947. 3 homeless Black mothers occupied a vacant house in Oakland where they could never qualify to buy in protest of unaffordable housing. They defied eviction orders for 2 months. When they were forcibly removed, the mayor and governor brokered a deal to buy it for the community, where it now serves as transitional housing for homeless mothers. Their actions changed state housing laws. They fought for roofs. Even now, Palestinian and Israeli mothers talk to each other across the walls and rubble and graves. ¿Quién dijo que todo está perdido? No one sends Mother's Day cards that say, "Sorry about the unpaid, undervalued, isolating, and exhausting labor you've been doing to raise the next generation of humans." Without decent wages or paid leave, affordable childcare or health care, not to mention the maternal mortality, the depletion of single motherhood, and what happens to mothers in prison, detained as migrants, left stranded as refugees. We women, teaching each other over millennia how to be mothers, have a rich inheritance of know-how, a deep history of crafting survival, making something out of nothing, a way out of no way, the accumulation of endless generations of experimentation, handmade knowledge disdained by male experts or romanticized into a dreamy feminine contentment that keeps us in our places. Yeah. All of this knowing, these skills and tools have been piling up for so long they seem inherent, are mistaken for instinct. Biology fills our breasts with milk, but our savvy is not biological. It is history. We grew it from seed. Anyone willing to grow deep can learn the thing we call mothering and use it to conspire on behalf of life. Defend the world in which we win as if it were your child. It is your child. This year, I'm writing a handbook called A Field Guide to Mistakes, trying to pass on bite-sized lessons from a lifetime of invoking and defending that world. I wrote, because we of the many streams of social justice movements have as wide a variety of names for what we're building as there are hummingbirds in the tropics, this is not a field guide to a destination. It's a field guide to the kinds of mistakes we hold in common and tend to make again and again along the way, across all the shifting terrain of movement life. A tool for learning to identify the markings of a problem in a movement ecosystem and find out what is already known about what it is and how to deal with it. So here is a lesson. This story I am telling you about mothering, about love and justice, about courage that begins in the heart, this conspiracy of life means we can't exclude anyone from the world in which we win. It stretches our hearts to the limit sometimes, but it's true. All human beings are future citizens of a liberated world. We live in societies designed to make wealth for the wealthy, whose rules are made of trauma and bad information, wrapped in falsehoods meant to justify infinite theft. All of us, no matter what we believe or where we stand, are suffering from the impact of such injustice on our humanity. If we disqualify anyone from our liberation project, we are imitating what we are committed to ending. We are deciding some people can be sacrificed, that we are better humans than they are, that we know who deserves to be freed and who doesn't, and have the right to act on our assessments, that blame and punishment can create justice. These are the master's tools that Audre Lorde reminded us will never bring down the master's house. All human beings are future citizens of a liberated world, and all human beings are capable of change. If we don't believe this, then what are we doing? To say all humans can change isn't wishy-washy conflict avoidance. It's not an easy way out. It's a profound commitment to believe in the world we envision. Of course, the bad decisions and damaging behaviors born of traumas and lies must be interrupted, but without harshness or cruelty, without humiliating or diminishing the people we must confront. Not only because it protects our own humanity, not just because it's ethical, but because it's the only way to build alliances big enough and strong enough, kind enough and brave enough to win the really big fights of our time. Justice requires love. Love requires justice. Yo vengo a ofrecer mi corazón. A few days ago, Chinese dissident Ya-Cho Wang wrote an opinion piece for the New York Times subtitled, "Obedience Gets You Nowhere." She wrote, "More and more Americans are now, perhaps for the first time in their lives, facing threats from their own government for simply doing their job, speaking their mind, or protesting. As someone with experience challenging one of the world's most ruthless and powerful governments, I have one important piece of advice to share. Show courage. This is not simply a display of moral strength. It is also an effective strategy for fighting back against creeping authoritarianism. It is human to want to protect yourself even at the expense of your principles, to avoid potential reprisals. Such obedience comes from a place of weakness, not strength. But as she points out, tyrants rarely reward submission with benevolence. When we hear stories about outspoken activists who are now in jail, she tells us, we might assume that it is safer to stay quiet, but this is not so. What we may not see or hear are the stories of dissidents who have done seemingly nothing at all and have still been punished. Hiding will not save us. We must sing solidarity, imagination, and hope. To mother the world is not about milky breasts, although they must be protected. It's the decision to mobilize our hearts, infusing love and justice into courage. It means for all of us to honor what mothers, female-bodied parents have figured out over thousands of years about how to conspire for life and wholeheartedly follow that lead. Then these words by blues musician Eric Bibb stop being about gender and become an anthem of the possible. The time has come, enough is enough. Time to move aside and let the mothers step up.